I'm living with the family I nanny for, and the teenage son's behavior is starting to creep me out, but I can't tell if it's just a cultural difference or genuinely inappropriate. So I, 21F, am from the U.S., and recently moved to Italy to nanny. I feel this is important because so far I have not been able to tell if I'm struggling with a cultural difference here in Italy, or if I actually have reason to be weirded out. It is easy to tell that the son Dario, 13M, is in middle school, as he is already several inches taller than me and his mom, and has maybe 30 pounds on me. When I first got here, some of the stuff that freaked me out a little I could handle, and I just chalked it up to being an Italy thing. This includes stuff like talking almost exclusively in a baby voice when addressing his parents, calling his parents mommy and daddy, fighting physically with his little sister over who gets to sit on mom and dad's lap multiple times throughout the day, fighting with the sister over who gets to sleep with the parents, getting extremely upset when mom or dad leaves for the day, and whining about not getting enough kisses or time laying in bed kissing with mom, and having his parents blow on chewed food in his mouth because it's too hot. Now I really don't want to be critical of this if it's normal here, you know? But in the U.S., I seriously can't imagine a single 7th grade boy engaging in any of these behaviors, so it's really new to me. And really it hadn't affected me, so I just let it be. The problem is though that now I'm starting to get involved and it's making me really uncomfortable. For example, our rooms have adjacent windows which allows the kids to see into my entire room at all times. To me, this is pretty inappropriate. What am I supposed to do when I need to change clothes? But I also don't want to seem like I'm sexualizing children or accusing them of anything, so I just politely asked for curtains and took to changing in the bathroom. After weeks without curtains, the family finally promised me that someone was coming to put them up. Well, he only put them in the kids' room. Ever since then I find Dario peeping through the curtains at me multiple times a day. Now I'm sure he is just checking on me or curious about what I'm up to, but it makes me so uncomfortable. I didn't want to tell the family though because I'm afraid they would think I was accusing their baby of trying to spy on me changing, so I just took matters into my own hands and hung a blanket up over my window. Another issue has been when we stay at the kids' grandparents' house. There is a room for the parents, with a bed for one child, and a room for me with a bed for one child. I figured we would split up boys and girls and I would stay with the daughter, but nighttime rolls around and Dario is crawling into the bed next to mine. I was so uncomfortable I could hardly sleep. I have talked to my friends at home about this and they all think it's really weird, because we aren't related and he's a teenager now. But this is of course an American opinion, so I can't tell for sure if we're imposing our ideas on this family. Again, if this is really a cultural thing though, I don't know how to tell the family that where I am from, it's kind of inappropriate for a boy so old to be sleeping next to me, especially when he's been spying on me lately, without causing issues. Of course these behaviors affect other aspects of our life as well, as it is hard to get Dario to do anything because he usually claims it's too hard to do. Making a bed at 13? Too hard? Are you kidding? And I often find myself wanting to tell him to grow up. What I need help with is knowing whether he does need to grow up or if all this behavior is normal here and I am the crazy American that needs to adjust. Is this behavior normal for a 12-year-old, or is it immature? I feel like the parents still really see him as a young child, and usually he acts like it, but for the most part it seems like he plays up the baby act because he knows it makes his parents cater to him more. If this all is abnormal, does anyone have any suggestions about how to bring this up to the family? Edit. Just want to clarify that at the grandparents' house there are 2 beds, and they are next to each other. Dario was not in my bed but in the bed next to mine. Relevant comments. Commenter number 1. In the comments we've established that yes, this kid's behavior is weird. But what the heck at the parents responding to your request for privacy and curtains by giving them to the child? OP. I have no clue. They've been really weird about some stuff. Like, this is TMI, but the mom knew I was on my period because I had to ask her where to buy tampons here, and we get to the house and there's no trash can in the bathroom or in my room. I asked for one multiple times and she said she would get one and never did, and when I asked last she said, well, the kids have a trash can in their room if you need it. Like, what the heck, are you not an adult woman? Do you not understand how this works? Commenter number 2. Do the parents discipline the kids? I asked about discipline when I interviewed and they said they don't really have to discipline the kids. I should have taken it as a warning sign. Honestly, the mom is very strict about some stuff, so they're very good in certain areas that she deems important, etiquette and cleanliness, but when Dario picks on the daughter they just let the kids yell and scream and cry until I step in. They also seem to encourage many of Dario's rude comments because technically he does word them politely. For example, I will bust my butt making a meal for the whole family, to be kind and helpful. It is not in my job description, and Dario will eat 4 plates of it and then say, I'm sorry, but why would you cook this like that? And I'll say that's how we cook it in the US, and he'll say, well, I didn't like it. The Italian way is much better, and then put his plate on mine for me to take it to the kitchen and leave. No thanks for cooking, no, but I did like this part. Just insult, clean my plate, bye. He loves to criticize. Commenter number 3. Is the child autistic? I thought about the autism initially, but I'm fairly certain it isn't that, because when his parents are gone the baby act completely turns off and he acts like any other teenager, albeit manipulative and critical, I have ever known, and I have worked in childcare, in the classroom, and as a coach for years now. Update, 4 months later. Hi all. I'm back. The curtain issue. Like I said in my last post, I had just hung a blanket for privacy, and since then there have been no peeping issues. I asked 2 more times for curtains and was reassured both times that the curtain man would come to hang them in my room. He did come back once and hung more curtains in the kids' room, but again not in mine. Then I was told that they didn't like him and would be finding another curtain guy to hang my curtains. It's been 4 months, no more mention of it. I still use the blanket. The vacation issue, I have simply refused to go on vacation with them. I'm off on weekends and I've reached a point where I just refuse to be home for the entire weekend and manage not to see them from Friday night until Monday morning if I can help it. I go on weekend trips, crash on couches, sneak into my room when they're eating. Things like that just to avoid seeing anyone on my days off. The Dario issue, Dario still acts extremely immaturely. I've warmed up to him a lot, and I've figured out how to cut his rudeness and such. He's become a lot more positive and kind, especially because his mom has been gone a lot and he's with me every day. I'm very upbeat and have worked really hard to get him to socialize and speak kindly. Unfortunately, he seems to have almost regressed in terms of the childish behavior. He still sits on laps, kisses a lot, and sleeps with a parent when the other is gone. The baby talk is constant. Constant. For example, he loves to repeat back butchered syllables of words, if that makes sense. Like his dad will say "Passami un cucchiaio," pass me a spoon, and he will clap and exclaim "Ayo." Or "Voy dell'acqua?" Do you want water? And he'll go "Quay quay." He also has started eating kind of like a baby too. Like he'll take the remaining tomato sauce that we used on pasta and use the giant spoon to drink it out of the pot and get it all over his face, and then suck on it with his fingers. But when I look at his parents, they're looking at him like when you see a cute baby trying to use a fork and getting food on his face. But he's 13, so it's honestly sickening to watch and listen to. He won't lock the door when he goes to the bathroom or showers. Why? I started locking the door when I was like 7, and he even cried the other day when his sister sat on the foot of his bed. He doesn't like things touching his bed. And guess what? The parents got mad at the daughter, said it was her fault for baiting him. She just had to tie her shoe for a second, and declared that it's her fault. Dario will be upset all night. He also hasn't made any progress with friends, and has taken to playing League of Legends, so he won't leave his room or do any activities or lessons with me or the sister. It's pretty sad, honestly. Basically, the hardest part of this whole thing has been the mother. I won't even go into it here, but she's honestly clinically insane, and I feel so bad for all the people in this house that have to put up with her. She's just a power-hungry, jealous, bitter woman who needs to see a professional. Basically, I went home for Christmas to be with my friends and family and realized how bad this experience was for my health. I was going out drinking almost every night to escape the house. I was sleeping horribly because I knew she was here and her presence gave me awful anxiety. I was getting yelled at every day even when I did nothing wrong. I was at home in the States and the thought of going back made me absolutely miserable. So when I came back, I told them I needed to go back early for medical reasons, not totally untrue, and now I'm set to leave the last week of March. They found a new girl. Look out for her post here sometime in the future.